Victorian England, a time we often imagine as elegant, disciplined, and refined. Top hats, lace curtains, horse-drawn carriages, and polite society gatherings. But behind those velvet drapes and polished manners lay a world of shadows, secrets, and human suffering. This was an age where astonishing progress walked side by side with unspeakable depravity. Where the wealth of empires stood only a street away from the worst poverty on earth. Welcome to the dark side of Victorian England. Victorian England was a land of contradictions. On one hand, technological miracles, global trade, inventions, electricity, telegraphs, steam engines, and the birth of the modern world. On the other, oppression, vice, and misery hidden beneath layers of etiquette and lace. Behind closed doors. Strict morality in public, but secret affairs and scandals in private. Churches preaching purity, while brothels filled entire districts. Philanthropy displayed proudly, while countless families starved in silence. London was a city split in two. The glittering drawing rooms of the upper class, filled with music, wine, and grand dinner parties. And the slums only a mile away, where families lived in a single room, sharing beds infested with lice, surviving on scraps. Victorian society demanded that everything appear proper, even when everything was rotting underneath. The era preached respectability. Yet its foundations were built on poverty, colonial exploitation, and brutal labor. This was the true Victorian paradox. A world pretending to be perfect, while hiding its darkest flaws behind lace curtains. Queen Victoria was more than a monarch, she became the grandmother of Europe. Her 9 children married into almost every major royal house across the continent. This created an enormous web of alliances. The German Kaisers, the Russian Tsars, the kings of Greece, Spain, and Norway, and even the future rulers of Britain itself. Through these marriages, Victoria hoped to create peace. A united Europe bound by family. But this royal web had a dark, tragic side. It helped spread the genetic disease hemophilia, a deadly blood-clotting disorder, across Europe's royal bloodlines. Her descendants, princes, dukes, and heirs, suffered painful, untreatable bleeding that often led to early death. Even more ironically, these royal family ties did not prevent war. During World War I, many of Europe's leaders were Victoria's grandchildren. Yet they led their nations into one of the bloodiest conflicts in human history. The royal marriages that were meant to unite Europe ended up connecting its tragedies as well. The Industrial Revolution made Britain the workshop of the world. But the machinery was powered by the suffering of the poor. While factory owners earned fortunes, the working class faced horrors. Children as young as 5 years old worked 12 to 14 hours a day. Mines forced boys to crawl through pitch-black tunnels only 18 inches high. Little girls worked in textile mills where their hair and fingers were torn off by spinning machines. Many died from lung disease, toxic fumes, or exhaustion. Factory inspectors reported heartbreaking scenes. Children asleep on piles of cotton, too tired to stand. Some beaten awake with sticks. Victorian England became rich beyond imagination. But much of that wealth was built on the fragile backs of starving children. By night, workers collapsed in overcrowded slums. By morning, the factory whistle dragged them out again. This was the real price of progress. While the West End danced in theatres and glittering ballrooms, the East End of London drowned in darkness. And it was here, in 1888, that Jack the Ripper emerged. The contrast was shocking. West End, silk dresses, diamond necklaces, grand operas. East End, crime, disease, homelessness, endless desperation. Women forced into the streets to survive became targets of one of history's most infamous killers. Fog-choked alleys, dim lantern lights, drunken crowds, and narrow passageways created the perfect hunting ground. Police patrols were slow. The newspapers sensationalized the murders. The entire nation trembled. Jack the Ripper was not just a killer. He was a symbol of how deeply society had abandoned the poor. While the elite enjoyed luxury, the East End lived in fear and decay. The Ripper became the ghost of Victorian hypocrisy. A reminder that even the wealthiest empire had monsters hiding in its shadows. This is the darkest chapter of all. Arsenic wallpaper, death on the walls. Victorian homes decorated their rooms with brilliant green wallpaper, not knowing it was filled with arsenic, a deadly poison. People suffered headaches, vomiting, skin rashes, even death. All while sitting in their own living rooms. Doctors couldn't understand why entire families were dying. The answer was right in front of them.
Enjoying the video so far? Let's take a quick break. Just like the good old TV days, if you've ever wanted to bring your stories, documentaries, or even YouTube videos to life with ultra-realistic AI voices, then you need to check out 11 Labs. It's the same powerful tool that creators, filmmakers, and educators around the world are using to turn plain text into captivating, human-like narration. Instantly. Whether you're building your next viral short, narrating an audiobook, or voicing your AI character, 11 Labs gives you crystal clear quality and emotional tone that sounds real. So if you're curious, or ready to start creating amazing voiceovers like this one, head to the link in the description and explore 11 Labs for yourself. Alright, break's over. Let's get back to the video.
Painted on the walls. Opium and addiction. Opium dens filled London's back alleys. Workers, sailors, and even upper-class ladies used opium-based medicines like laudanum for pain, stress, or sleep. Britain itself trafficked massive amounts of opium into China, sparking the Opium Wars. A dark legacy of addiction and imperial greed. Baby farming, the most horrifying crime. Poor unmarried mothers, unable to raise their babies, would pay women, called baby farmers, to take care of their newborns. Many of these women were murderers. They starved the infants, overdosed them with opium syrup, or simply left them to die, and then took in the next child for money. It became one of the most chilling crimes of the Victorian era. The silent disappearance of thousands of innocent babies. To understand the truth of Victorian poverty, one man walked every street of London. Charles Booth created the famous poverty maps, coloring every neighborhood. Gold, wealthy. Red, middle class. Blue, poor. Black, vicious, semi-criminal. What he discovered shocked the nation. 1/3 of London lives in desperate poverty. Families slept packed together in single rooms. Mothers washed clothes in polluted rivers. Children scrounged for food in garbage heaps. Diseases like cholera and typhus spread in filthy streets. Factory inspectors added to the horror. Reports of workers crushed under machines. Children fainting from heat and exhaustion. Miners choking in dusty tunnels. Women giving birth on factory floors and returning to work within hours. Booth's maps and the inspector accounts finally forced society to see what it had tried so hard to hide. Victorian England was an age of brilliance and brutality, beauty and horror. An empire that lit the world with progress, while casting deep shadows across its own people. Its inventions built our modern age. And its sins remind us that progress without humanity is a path lined with suffering. This was the hidden truth behind the lace curtains. The dark side of Victorian England.